Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. I am Kim Lengling, your host, and I'm so glad that you've decided to join me. And if you're a returning guest, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us each Wednesday with all my amazing guests that I have on Let Fear Bounce. Today's guest is Bracha Goetz, and she's coming to us from Israel today, folks. She is a Harvard-educated author of 43 children's books and a candid memoir for adults about her journey to joy, nourish the soul, filling the emptiness within. Ooh, we're going to have to delve into that one a little bit, Brecca. Her newest picture books include Let's Stay Healthy, Don't Read This Book, and The Mother Who Always Said Yes. Her books can be found in bookstores and at her website, growingimpactpublications.com, and that will be in the show notes, folks. Brecca, welcome. Welcome to Let Fear Bounce.
Really happy to be here. Thank you.
Now, okay, first, before we get into the children's books, simply because the title of your memoir it really does grab the attention. Nourish the soul, filling the emptiness within. And the reason that caught my attention, that title, because it's a good one. So kudos to you for that.
Thank
But
you.
I think a lot of folks would never admit out loud that there is some emptiness within them
Mm-hmm.
because it's a fear thing of being judged or
Mm.
what have you. That's at least how it hit my head. So share a little bit about that book and how you came up with the title and all that good stuff.
Thank you so much. This book, I'm holding it up here.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, this book, it started when I was 12 years old. Um, I started keeping a diary when I was 12. Actually, right after I finished reading The Diary of Anne Frank. I started my book. I started my diary, which became my book. So this book, I didn't exactly write it. I compiled it from like significant diary entries. And when I got older, I called it a journal, and then letters that I wrote home. And I did fill in the missing pieces. And it tells the story of developing food addictions and then the process of healing from the food addictions. So that's the emptiness inside. I was trying desperately to fill that emptiness. As with all addictions, it's like you try desperately to fill it with externalities and it doesn't work. The hole gets deeper and deeper, and you feel more and more empty after that temporary comfort has gone away. You're left with an even greater emptiness. So in the middle of the book, I finally found out how to fill that hole. And that's what I'm doing the rest of my life now, is about sharing that with everybody. So really, other people don't have to suffer from addictions like I did, any kind of addiction. And it also helps with like depression, anxiety, with all kinds of fears, like you say, because when you have that emptiness,
Mhm.
fears fill it up. Fears get into that space, and take over you because addictions are filled with fear. Your brain gets filled with fear.
And
Yeah.
it gets stuck on that same loop.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And what the fear is, it's like a fear of a scarcity. There's not enough pleasure in my life because all of us are craving lasting pleasure. That's what we're doing here. We want lasting pleasure in life. And when we feel a scarcity of that pleasure in our lives, we could do whatever. We could stuff our faces because it brings that immediate pleasure and just might as well keep going. That's the hard part. The hard part is stopping eating. It's not a problem it's when it's trying to stop. That's the hard part because you want the pleasure to just keep lasting. Until you find out what can give you lasting pleasure, then you don't have to keep doing that all the time, stuffing your face or engaging in other addictions because you begin to trust life. You're not filled with so much fear anymore.
Yeah, and that fear and that negative anchor, that's what I call it, of, the lack of self-worth.
Yes.
Because I smoked for years, smoked cigarettes for years.
Yes.
That's an addiction.
Yes.
And I tried and tried so many times to quit, but I would turn into a raving biatch.
Right.
And
Right.
I would be so anxious and so edgy and shaking. And it was
Right.
awful. So I couldn't get past 2 weeks. And so I
Right.
pick it back up. Um, sept it'll be 2 years this September that I stopped smoking.
Wow.
And
Wow.
here's my reason. I know a lot of times, for folks, not for everyone, I'm just talking from my own experience, something big had to happen for me to quit.
Yeah.
I had to have lung surgery. And
Wow.
I went, okay, the night before my surgery, I went in my backyard, smoked a cigarette, and said, this will
Wow.
be my last
Wow.
cigarette. And then I looked
Wow.
up to the stars and said, God, make it so I never want to crave another one again, please. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
And I've not had one since.
Oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful story.
Yeah. And it was funny because a lot of friends that I have, they still smoke. So if I'm around them every once in a while, and the first time I was around someone who's actually smoking, we were outdoors. I literally started gagging. And they're like, "Are you okay, Kim?" I said, "Oh my gosh, it's the smoke. I'm so sorry." And I walked away. And then I looked up and went, "So that's how you're getting me to stop smoking." And
Amazing!
I started laughing and I'm like, "Good one, God." Good.
Amazing! Amazing! It's true. God
Yeah.
has the best sense of humor there
Yeah, well,
is.
I think so.
Wow.
I think numerous times in my life, I'm like, man, you have got a pretty darn good sense of humor up there.
Yes, yes.
So
Oh,
with
that's
your
awesome.
one, thank you. And I'm actually pretty proud of that, that I've
Yes.
stopped smoking. And there's only been 2 times
Wow.
in all this time that I've actually craved, but then I was able to knock it down so much quicker than ever before. Because I'll be like, Kim,
Yes.
do you need or do you want?
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't need a cigarette. No one needs a cigarette. I'm like, I want one, but do I really want one? I'm like, no,
Wow.
I want a walk with my dog more.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's how my brain, I have to reroute my thought process. So with your
Exactly.
addiction, were you anorexic, bulimic? What was the issue there?
Yeah, I would fluctuate between these uncontrollable binges. And believe me, I tried the bulimia thing. I couldn't do it. That was not for me. I'm not into
What an
throwing
odd
up.
sentence to say.
No, really, it would have been easy, but I couldn't do that kind of thing. I personally, I'm not into throwing up, so that was
No,
not my thing. But
it's not fun.
no, I would do the intensive dieting, like so restrictive dieting after these uncontrollable binges. And of course, the scary part was the binges, because then you feel out of control. With the anorexic kind of behavior, you feel in control. That didn't bother me as much, but the whole thing was a nightmare. It was just took up it began to take up my whole life,
Um,
more and more of my energy, my thinking, my relationships. It invaded every space of my life, so that it's a prison. An addiction, to me, it's a prison where you can't you I I read that it's a prison where it's the only prison where the locks are on the inside. You can get out, but you don't know how to get out, but they're there. You
what a
you
good
yourself can get.
visual. Yeah,
Yeah.
what a good visual. I'm very
Yeah.
visual. So when you painted that picture with the locks on the inside, that's a good one.
Yes.
That's powerful. That's a powerful picture.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
most addictions are rooted somewhere. Now I'm assuming that there was something like in your younger days that where did that start, do you think, or do you know where that started?
That's the thing. I think that all addictions have a spiritual root, and that root is coming from not having gratitude in life, not trusting life. When we can change that perspective, I no longer had the need for the addiction any longer. Like, I'll have a tendency, I'll still have a tendency to overeat, but I'm never running on empty anymore, so I don't end up in that same place.
Yeah.
So if I feel like it, I will do in my brain what you do with the smoking. I'll say, If I have 95 more spoons of this ice cream, am I going to feel filled up then? Is it going to fill me? And I know that it won't. That's it. I'll be just as empty when the whole container of ice cream is finished, and I'll be emptier than the container. I
Right.
go through that process of reminding myself, or if I feel like overeating, I'll say, well, is it really that you want the food? Like you say, is it that you need this food, or do you really need pleasure in your life right now? And like you said, I'll walk the dog. So that's what I learned about. How can you fill up on pleasure? I learned about this is actually on my website, like with the information that I talk about, but it's called the pleasure ladder.
Okay.
This helps me so much, and I encourage people. It's something that people can just download the chart for free, put up on their fridge or their cabinet to remind them when they feel like overeating that there's an infinite number of other things you could do to bring lasting pleasure into your life that very moment. Like you said, we get stuck. We get
Right.
stuck on our addictive behaviors, but really, there's so many other ways that we could bring pleasure in a more lasting way so that we can reconnect with the world. Like what we do in our addiction is what we do. It disengages us, it disconnects us from the world, it gets us focused in a selfish kind of way. While if we engage in any of these levels, it adds connection back into our life to re-engage. That's what we really want, because that's what gratitude does. It
Mhm.
it connects us out of ourselves.
Yes, it does. And then it spreads,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then when you're grateful for what it is that you have and where you're at, that shows to others.
yes,
So others that might be in a dark spot, they see
yeah,
that light and they'll be like,
yes,
okay, there it's out there.
yes,
They're able to look outside their own bubble sometimes.
yes,
I call it nuggets of hope. Um,
yes,
and and I wrote a book called Nuggets of Hope, and I give nuggets of hope physically to people that I run into. So I love meeting people like you that you're sharing that, like your ladder and your books. I think that's wonderful, and all of that will be in the show notes, folks, so you can download that diagram that she has, because I am positive that that'll be helpful for some people, because there are a lot of people suffering and living with addictions, and it's a mindset, and it's a really bad habit, and to break those bad habits
yes.
you have to change how you think.
So this is what I want to say. People tend to say it's not easy, but when things become joyful, they become so much easier. And
Easier,
there's
yes.
exactly, and it really can be a delightful process, because when we think, oh, it's so much work to break this bad habit, that stops us from trying. But truthfully, if we do it with gratitude, it's a joyful process. It's not like hard work in that sense. It's Yes, it's you have to keep repeating it, but what's there to lose when you
Right.
keep repeating gratitude? It's just you become a more grateful person. Your brain develops those neural pathways. Like I describe it, like when you first are grateful for something you've taken for granted for a while, it feels awkward and weird, like driving on a road you've never traveled on, which is very gravelly and hard. But once you create those grooves, it's easier and easier. Those are the neural pathways that we're creating in our brain. We have neuroplasticity. We can change at any moment.
And that is the beauty of it.
Yep,
That is the beauty of it.
yep,
I've found for myself anyway, um, it's a repetitive thing too. You have to
yes, yeah,
repeat over and over. And I've found it does get easier, once you're starting that journey and you're repeating the things, and then you're settling into it. It does get easier. Now for me, it's like it's automatic. If I start feeling, I'm like, all right, time to get outside and go for a walk. And it's
yes,
almost automatic.
yes. Exactly.
I'm not thinking, oh, I feel, oh, I'm getting edgy, oh, I'm getting angry. I don't have room for that anymore. It's like, no,
Exactly. You've
let's get
changed your
outside.
brain.
Right, right.
Exactly. You have developed these new neural pathways and it goes right to going outside. That's
Yep.
what happens. So I don't look at it as hard work. It's joyful work. It's just practicing it more often and it's totally joyful. Sure, we're going to relapse. Sometimes we're going to flop and everything, but we can be even grateful then. I joke about this, but seriously, like after eating 20 cookies, you can feel miserable the way that inner critic wants you to feel, or you can feel, oh wow, I'm grateful I didn't have 200 cookies. You could
Right,
always be grateful and just then you don't get stuck in the mud,
right.
and you can continue on your grateful pathway.
I love that. Grateful pathway. Oh, I love that. That's another beautiful visual. Oh, you should make another graphic for that. Your grateful pathway.
Oh,
That's
and I got to
beautiful.
tell you, this is not mine. I mean, we made the graphic, but this is ancient mystical wisdom. Whoa, as ancient as could be. I'm just presenting it, so
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome. That is awesome. So, wow, this has been a fun conversation so far. So I want to. So you wrote that, and you've had a few bumps along your path, and then all of a sudden, tell me if it's all of a sudden, but you have 43 children's books. So when did that part of your journey begin? You're like, I'm gonna write a children's book, and then you just kept going.
Yes. So I wanted to write the books I wished I had as a child. So I didn't have to search and go through a lot of unnecessary pain. I'm explaining to children from the beginning of life what our purpose here is. I'm teaching young children as early in life as possible gratitude skills. That's what every one of my books does in a totally different way. I mean, okay, don't read this book. This book teaches children how to overcome the inner critic. It teaches children to be aware of it and how to overpower it. Oh, what does that inner critic do? Don't read this book. It's written in the voice of the inner critic. So the inner critic saying, "Don't read this book, or you're going to find out all my tricks." So, what is
Uh,
the main trick? What is the main trick of the inner critic is to get you to focus on what you're missing in life. Oh, you're lacking this, you're missing that. It all does this all day long. It's trying to get us to be miserable. So, what we have to do is we recognize that voice, and we all have it. Everyone thinks they're the only one with this voice telling them how unworthy they are and they don't deserve this and they're missing that. You're missing all this, all the bad stuff. It's repeating this all the time. I just learned we have 60,000 thoughts a day. And the research is that 75% of them are negative. I think it's more than that. 75% are the negative, and 95% of these negative thoughts are repetitive. The same stuff every day. Oh my gosh. So so if you can learn this as a child, then you get that power. You get that voice is talking and you can say, "Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to focus on what I'm missing. I'm going to focus on what I already have. I have so much to be grateful for." You turn it around the minute you become aware of that voice trying to get you to be miserable. It's so powerful. And this is going to blow you away. This book took me 30 years to write because I had the title, I had most of the book written, but I didn't have the ending because it seemed like this seems like too evil for kids. Like it doesn't seem like happy enough. Finally, like 2 years ago, I got the answer. And this is exactly what you say on your show. Turn your fear into your greatest ally. So I realized that voice in our heads, it's put there, It's designed for each of us. We all have it, and it's a blessing. Oh my goodness. It's there like a personal trainer to get us. I'm lifting a barbell, and this barbell, it's heavy. And every time you lift it, you are strengthening your muscles. So every time you push that heaviness of making you miserable, you push it away, you grow your gratitude muscles. It's amazing. So, yes, isn't
I
that
love
incredible?
that.
I wanted to share this with you because when I saw that, you said that turn your fear into your greatest ally. It really is. It really is, but you have to recognize that it's your greatest ally.
Right.
It wants you to push it away and become a more grateful person.
Recognition, that's the thing. Yeah, and that seems
Yes,
to be like the running theme with almost everyone that I talk to, and we always bring
yes,
it up. We've got to recognize what our fears are and recognize them
yes,
for what they are.
yes,
A lot of them aren't as big as we have let them grow to be,
yes, yes. The,
and
the,
everyone's different. Everyone has their own thought process
yes,
and circumstance,
exactly.
but those fears are true and real to people. So what I might think is, oh, that's little. Why you can overcome that in a day. But to that person, it's huge. And it might have
Right,
stuck around since they were younger.
right,
And it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And so you do
right.
need to lift your weights so you can get strong enough to push it off.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Awesome. So
And you said,
what other books? You've got 43 books. Let's see here. Your newest one is Let's Stay Healthy.
oh, even newer now. The Mother Who Always Said Yes. That's the
Oh,
newest book.
okay. Well, share some about that then.
This book is, oh my gosh. I mean, my granddaughter, this was like a year ago, over a year ago, she said to me, we were hanging out and she said to her mother, "Can I have some candy?" And her mother said no. And she turns to me and she said, "When I'm a mother, I'm going to always say yes." Woo! I was like, well, let's let that fantasy happen. Let's see what happens. If you're a mother who always said yes, what would your home be like? So that's what the book is. It's like it. I'm gonna. You want me? Could I read it?
The whole book? How long?
It's not that long. I could. You want me to or not?
Read a little bit
Okay.
of it. Yeah.
Okay, stop me whenever you want. Just a few more minutes, then I'll go to bed. No, you already had that, my mother said. When I am a mother, I won't say no. When I grow up, this is how it will go. When my children will ask if they can stay up more, I will simply smile and say, sure. I'll let them stay up super duper late. Wow, they'll love it. It will be great. They'll never go to bed. They will party a ton. Day after day, they'll just keep having fun. Nobody will tell them that it's time to stop. And whenever they want, they can also shop. They can buy anything that they want in a store. And whatever they like, they can always buy more. They can pick everything. I won't care at all. Why should I stop them? Let them have a ball. They can fill up their rooms with all kinds of stuff and keep bringing more home. It's never enough. If their rooms get too crowded, they can fill up more space and leave their things all over the place. Okay, I won't read the whole book, but I want to tell you that as the book goes on and on,
I like
you
where it's
see
going. Yeah.
exactly things get more and more chaotic and
Yeah.
dysfunctional. I mean, it's all in the illustrations because the words, it's like, oh, it's so wonderful, it's so great. And then you see the
Right.
reality of what is going on and how bizarre things get. So the book never, ever tells you it's not a good idea. It shows it to the child, and the child is empowered through the book to understand the value of boundaries and limitations in life. It's having a major effect. This book sold out the minute it was published, and now we've republished it because like everybody is getting this message. It's so this is we call this is a book to help eliminate the entitlement epidemic and instead fill up on gratitude. Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
Yep.
Yes, I can appreciate that. So where can your books be found?
So the website is run by my children. I'm not a business person. My children do all that. And it's really a fantastic website they made, Growing Impact Publications. So because we're just getting this message out universally, growing the impact and spreading joy. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've got 43 books. Are the books all in different age ranges, or are you focused pretty much on one range?
Yes, it starts from like 1 month old because I have board books that help a child to see the world in a joyful way for the youngest infants. And it goes up to really, I would say like age 7 or 8. But
Okay.
by then they're reading chapter books, you know.
Right.
So the thing is, children's books, people don't realize this affect every single age because the parents are reading the books to the children, the teachers, the grandparents, and even teenagers. They pick up the book when no one's looking, and even they get the message. So
Yeah.
if you want to get a message to the whole world, that's the way to go.
What,
Yep.
what an awesome thought process. I've talked to folks who are like, oh, I've always wanted to, or I'd love to write a children's book, but it seems so much harder. And I have a few in my head. I've just not gotten them down because I'm not sure what direction I want to go with them yet. You know how you get that little idea,
Yep.
it's going to hang out there until it's ready to come out,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So I'm just waiting for it to come out. So, and doing other things in the meantime. But
Yeah.
I've loved how authors, children's book authors such as yourself, how your brain automatically sees that end result and knows, okay, now we have to put this together. And the other thing that was always intimidating to me was children's book, you have to have illustrations.
Yeah.
Well, I can't draw,
Right.
and I don't have money to hire an illustrator because they're very expensive. And
Yeah.
and they should be because they have a tremendous skill. A
Yes.
lot of us
Yes.
don't. Now, okay, there's a lot of different ways you can do it nowadays. But that part always intimidated me for whatever reason. Isn't that silly?
Yeah, there's ways around that. You
Oh
can
yeah.
find really inexpensive illustrators on Fiverr, I think it's called. And
I utilize Fiverr for other things. Yeah,
yes,
I found some wonderful people on there to, for like
terrific.
one-off projects that I needed done that I personally don't want to learn how to do.
Yes, exactly, exactly. That's one way to do it. The other way is years ago, I used to split the royalties with the illustrator. So that also works. In
Yeah,
other words, that you don't have to
as long
spend
as
a
the
lot
book
of money.
sells.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly.
Well, this has been such a fascinating conversation, and the time went really fast. The time flew by. But I love, well, we only heard about the one book, The Mother Who Always Said Yes. I love that. We might have to have you back on again to talk about other books.
Sure.
Well, do you have one of my questions? I can't believe I didn't think to ask it already. What's next?
Oh, yeah. Two books are coming out like in a few weeks. Two more books are
Really?
coming out. Yeah, really exciting. So,
And
all
are
the
they children's books?
children's books. Yes, yes. I just think I say that I identify as a 6-year-old boy. That's usually the main character in my books. I think like a child. You could tell when you meet me, you know. There's something about me that has never grown up. So, yes.
Well, I think we all need that because
Yeah.
my mother regularly tells that to me too. And I'm
Oh,
like, thank you. I
oh,
take that as a compliment.
yay.
Well, this has been such a pleasure. This has been such a fun conversation, Brecca. Thank you so much for being my guest today.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for all the fear that you are decreasing in this world and helping people to live more joyfully. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got to let that stuff bounce, folks.
Yes.
Make room for the good. Yes, yes. Everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Let Fair Bounce. I hope that you enjoyed yourself and this conversation as much as I did. What a wonderful thing. And be sure to check out all of her books on her website. That'll all be shared with you in the description in the show notes. I am Kim Lengling, your host of Let Fear Bounce. Everybody be well, stay well, and above all, be blessed.
Kindness. It's simple, powerful, and free. Yet, it holds the extraordinary ability to change someone's day or even their life. In the book, Nuggets of Hope, Cultivate Kindness, available on Amazon, you'll find stories of spreading kindness through simple acts. Grab your copy of Nuggets of Hope today and discover how you can transform your world with kindness. Let's make the world a little brighter together. Order your copy of Nuggets of Hope, Cultivate Kindness on Amazon.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Let Fear Bounce. Your time is precious, and I am so grateful that you chose to spend just a small part of it with myself and my guest today. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our weekly nuggets of hope and inspiration. And remember, folks, let fear bounce, because you've got this. So until next time, folks, keep your light shining bright.